Hey guys, I have like an hour before I have to go pick up Lizzie this afternoon. So I said we'd do another Ask Me Anything day. I haven't done one of those in a long time. So I've got some questions up here from people on Facebook. And I figured this was fun last time. Why don't we try it again? I have one from Kate. Is there a particular fabric you wish you had for a pad in your stash? Any maker you really want to try? How is it? Wow, there's like 5 questions in here. Is there a particular fabric you wish you had for a pad in your stash? Not necessarily, no. I think I see some now and then that I like, prints that I like, but I've tried pretty much everything that I want to try out. Any maker that you really want to try? I have not been paying attention to the newer makers lately because I've been busy. The last probably 5-6 months of my life have been an absolute just blur, and I have had very little time. So I've tried all of the ones that I knew about to be interested in. And when I got my monthly mashup and I got my Radiant Lush boxes, I got to try a bunch of new ones, and Happy Hippos is awesome. Love that pad. I'm going to have to do a review on that shop because it's like every time my rainbow Happy Hippos pad is dirty, I have to clean it because I want it back. So shout out for Happy Hippos. How is it going having a daughter using reusables? It's going fabulously. She's doing great with them. Haven't had any troubles. She does need some more overnight pads though, so I'm going to have to get on that for her because she has having issues with leaking at night. Any changes needed for cleaning routines? So far so good, knock on wood. We'll see. It's only been 2 cycles for her, so I don't know if she's going to need different cleaning routines. Any snack I've had recently that I highly recommend? I'm going to pause this because I have to think about that one. I don't know if this qualifies as a snack. It's a cookie. It's a no-bake cookie that you make with oatmeal and butter, and I just substitute vegan butter and cocoa powder and peanut butter and oats and stuff, and then you boil all that with some extra, I think they put extra sugar in there, and then you let it cool. Those are so good, and I think they call them chocolate peanut butter no-bake cookies, but when I was growing up, they were called cat poop cookies, and I had forgotten because they look like little piles. And I had forgotten all about them until recently when I saw another recipe for them, and I was like, oh, those are so good. So I made some, and of course, the whole family gobbled them down. But yeah, that's the most recent snack that I really like, and they're super easy to make. What is my go-to meal when you don't know what to make? I make a lot of stuff with noodles when I'm going on the fly, and this new one that I do a capellini pomodoro, which is basically angel hair type pasta, and you chop up tomatoes and garlic and olive oil and pepper and that sort of, and red chili flakes. Oh, that's so good. And then basil. Lots and lots of basil. I also do pestos a lot. I do chimichurri sauces a lot and just put that on something. But my new one that we just tried for the first time this week, I think it's from a website called Budget Bites, and she makes it with shrimp, but I just do it with like tofu and Old Bay seasoning. And it's called lime dragon noodles, I think. And it's this sauce that's brown sugar and sriracha sauce and, and soy sauce. And then you put lime juice and cilantro and stuff. Oh my gosh, it is so good if you like spicy food. And it took like 10 minutes to make. How is my back? Oh, it is so much better. Oh my goodness, it's so much better. That surgery, my microdiscectomy and laminectomy, that's what it was. It was a combination of those 2 procedures because they drill a hole in the bone, which is the laminectomy part, and then they do the microdiscectomy, which is to remove the protruding part of the herniated disc. And apparently that one that was hurting me when I got my surgery was really, really bad. And it was just the best thing that ever happened. It's the best decision I've made health-wise for my back. Because I still have chronic pain, but it is so mild now compared to what I've been dealing with for the last 10 years, and especially over the last year and a half as it got worse again. I'm doing much better. I can walk 3-4 miles if I'm wearing the right shoes and I have my stick with me. And I can go to the store now and not be in screaming pain at the end by the time I get to the cash register. So I'm doing extraordinarily well. It's fantastic. Thank you for asking. If I had $100 to spend today, can't use it to buy a gift card. What would you spend it on? Books. The answer to that is always books. If I just have extra money laying around to buy whatever I want, I'm always going to spend it on books. Okay, Ashley and Lizzie are both home now. So, that's always nerve-wracking. Next question is, favorite movie of all time and why? My daughter just asked me this the other day, and there's no way I can pick one. I've tried. I've really sat down and thought about this because Elizabeth can be very persistent when she wants an answer to a question. I don't know. I guess the favorites of all time category would be, like Princess Bride, Empire Records. Oh gosh, The Christmas Story. I don't know. There's so many. But I mean, it's kind of hard to beat Ralphie and Princess Bride, and I don't know, those are like the big ones from childhood. Stand By Me was another one that was... So I kind of categorized the favorite movies of all time are the ones that I watched over and over again, and those are they. Have I found my sewing machine yet? Yes, I did. Actually, my husband found it. It was in a box out in the garage. Yeah, he found it for me because I was about ready to freak out, and he sensed that, and he went out there and was digging, and he found it for me. My favorite vegan breakfast. Well, there's two. There's the boring one. I really love oatmeal and like cream of wheat. I think you call it semolina. With just, butter and sugar. And of course, butter doesn't have to be dairy butter. And then, donuts. My greatest accomplishment thus far. I don't know. I'm not a highly accomplished person. My kid is alive and happy. I've been married for 13 and a half years. We were just talking about that. Ashley and I were talking about how we beat like 5 or 6 different statistics to still be married. And I still like him. You still like me, okay? Yeah. So, I don't know. Having a happy, normal life without too many big mistakes in it that, messed everything up. I guess that's my greatest accomplishment. What is the best thing about moving? Oh, you're a military brat too. The best thing about moving, I think, is when you get to start over in a new place, you get to go through all of your stuff and purge. Now, for some people, that's traumatic, but for me, I like getting rid of the, separating the wheat from the chaff, and because when you live in a home for a number of years, you start to build up clutter and extraneous belongings that really probably aren't special to you anymore, and getting rid of those is a very cathartic, cleansing kind of thing for me. And so that's one of my favorite things about moving is getting to a new place, seeing a new place, and getting the house cleaned out and decluttered in a major way all at once. So I like that. And then of course the other greatest thing about moving is when you go to a place you've never lived before, that's always an adventure, and I like that. How do I feel about Lizzie using Rumps and doing a review with me? Oh, it's fine. I'm a little bit hesitant about it because, there's the whole thing about crazy people on the internet. But honestly, I think it's a mistake to be always clenched up about that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. It's really up to her, and I'm going to talk to her about the consequences of being on the internet before we do that one, so that she can make an educated decision. But she's 13 now. I think she understands what it's all about, and she wanted to do it, so I'm good. What is my next sewing project? Well, I don't really have a next sewing project yet because I still have sewing projects that I need to finish and send to people, because the ones that I was working on when everything fell apart and I went into surgery and I haven't really sewn much of anything since then is, they were all for other people. So these other people have been waiting literally since February when I had my surgery, when everything kind of went to a standstill. But I definitely want to try out making period panties, which I talked about in the Thinks review I put up today. And just because I think that's a fascinating way. And lots of different people could use those for things other than menstruation. So I think it would be a useful thing to be able to show people how to do. For kids who are coming off potty training, and you don't want to buy the disposable training pants, or for people who have incontinence that's a little bit more than minor, who want to have backups in their underwear for that sort of thing. I think that'd be an interesting sewing project. But I have a list of sewing projects that I'm already supposed to be doing for videos that I had talked about doing, and for people who are waiting on me to do things for them that I promised months and months ago. What job would I have liked to do if I was not a military wife and having to move around? Well, if I hadn't become a military wife, I was in commercial construction, and I was going to school for construction management kind of things, like CAD drawing and the math that goes into that, and state coding, and all kinds of stuff like that. And so my life would look very different career-wise, I think. But the job I would like to have, if we ever settle down and stop moving, is I'd probably want to do, what I want to do is write history books. But realistically speaking, I could probably teach history. Cadence is over here begging because Ashley's eating snacks, and Cadence feels entitled to them, and she wants to go outside and bark at the dog next door. Can I recommend a pattern or video for learning to quilt? Honestly, YouTube is full of good ones, and gosh, I watched so many. But my favorite one is the Missouri Star Quilt Company. Because once you learn basic stuff like sewing in a straight line and, you know, sewing the 1/4 inch seam on everything, I think her videos are the best for beginners, because she teaches things in a very simplified way, so that it convinces you that even though that looks kind of complicated, it looks like, oh, I could do that. So the Missouri Star Quilt Company's YouTube channel is definitely one I would recommend. Tips for moving. We're moving next weekend. Oh, goodness. Well, pack the books yourself. If you're having movers come in to move you, pack all the books yourselves, because the movers will destroy your books. Let's see. I don't know. You really need to get a lot of sleep and try not to stress out. Remember that everything's going to take longer than you thought it was going to. And honestly, just don't... Okay, here's the big one. It's for when you get there. Don't wait to unpack your stuff. Don't, like, get there, unpack the beds and the sheets and the kitchen stuff, and then let it sit. Because here's the analogy. It's like when you do laundry and you've washed it, you've dried it, and it's in a basket. So it's clean laundry. But you don't fold it and you don't put it away. Then what happens? Everybody in the family just digs through that basket, and it becomes this big cluttery mess, and nobody knows where anything is. And that's what'll happen in the whole house if you don't unpack everything. And that's the biggest one, is if you'll reach this threshold, and if you don't unpack and put things away and organize the house in the first couple of weeks that you're in the new house, give yourself a month from beginning to finish. But if you don't, then you're going to end up accepting the new reality of having boxes everywhere, and you'll kind of become snowblind to them. You won't even notice it. And you'll end up in this cluttery house that you haven't unpacked all the boxes, and there's stuff laying around. And it'll end up being this big monumental task, and you'll be in there for a year with unpacked stuff. So do it quickly. When you move in the new house, unpack everything, you know, give yourself a break the first week, but then really get into it and push yourself, because you'll get so tired of unpacking boxes, because by the time you get there, you're already tired of packing boxes. And the moving process is exhausting. So when you get there, you'll hit this place, it's like, if I see another box, I'm just going to die. But push through that and get it done anyway. Otherwise, it ends up becoming this really long-term thing, and you won't have your new house looking nice. Now that I have joined you in the Golden State, what am I excited to do as a resident that you didn't have time for as a visitor? Well, we lived here for 3 years. Oh gosh, between 2004 and 2007. So we're kind of familiar with this area, and also my husband is from here. He grew up in California, and his family is up in a different part of California. So we're not really new to California. But I really, really want to go up and see the sequoias this time. I want to go up north because I've never been up there. I want to go up to the giant sequoia park and see the big trees, because I've never done that. Lived in California for 3 years and never drove up north and did that. What are my favorite and least favorite places I have lived? My favorite place that we lived was Dublin, Ireland, for sure. No question. My least favorite, I don't know. I'll have to consult with Mr. Nix about that one. Yeah, we conferred on it, and our least favorite place that we lived was probably Tegucigalpa, Honduras. And that's not to say, I mean, there were beautiful things in Honduras, and we liked a lot of the people that that he worked with and that we lived among in Honduras. And I even really enjoyed the food and some of the cultural differences, because every time you move to a foreign country, everything is different and everything is new, especially when there's a language barrier. But, I learned to be rather conversationally functional. I'm illiterate in Spanish. I can't sit down and read a newspaper and really understand everything that I'm reading. And I've lost a lot of Spanish in the intervening 3 years since we've been back in the States. But, I gained the language to an extent that I could communicate, and that was very empowering. I also, the food was good, but it wasn't as spicy as like Mexican and Cuban food. Now, Cuban and Puerto Rican food tends to use more fruit, so I prefer Mexican food because I don't like mixing sweet with my savory usually. And Mexican food is awesome, whereas Honduran food is a little blander. They tend to use less spices in Honduras, less picante in Honduras. But the reason that it was our least favorite place really was safety. Honduras is a very violent, crime-stricken country. The murder rates there are literally the highest in the world. And our house was surrounded by tall fences with razor wire around the top, and there was 24-hour security. We rode around in bulletproof vehicles. It was a surreal kind of experience. I mean, the grocery stores had men guarding them with shotguns. If you went to get gasoline, petrol, the gas stations had guys guarding you with a gun so that nobody would try to rip you off. The police there have to wear face masks so that the cartels and the violent people don't know their identities and go after their families. There were a lot of scary things going on there that detracted from our enjoyment of living there. So it was really a safety issue. That was our least favorite place because there were a lot of things to be concerned about. And there was a lot of violent crime experienced in our area when we moved into the house. Like the week we moved in, a woman 3 doors down from us, literally the third house down from ours, was brutally murdered. It was an unsettling time. What are my, let's see, I just answered that one. Do I have an updated storage system for my reusables? No, I don't. I still use the same one. I have a cube that I use in the bathroom that I keep it in, and I still use my same wet bag because I love it. I haven't updated any of that. Nope. Let's see. Oh, and there's another one. What is my go-to menstrual cup? Now I seem to be favoring my Maluna glitter cup now. It's a Maluna Classic Large. And that's the one I seem to be favoring most now. I tend to go back and forth, but right now, for the last several months, it's definitely been the Maluna. How does my family feel about me speaking out about periods? Oh, they don't care. They either have no opinion whatsoever, they don't care, they're just, oh, that's Amy's thing, or, they think it's cool, one or the other. But mostly the answer is they don't care. It just doesn't affect them and they don't care. Can we get an updated stash video? Yes, I can do that. I did one, I don't know, what was that, in the spring? So I guess we'll do it in my fall-winter 2016 stash. It hasn't changed a whole lot except that I've got a bunch of new ones that I got from those subscription boxes. What have been my favorite Rumps Facebook chats of recent memory? Oh, I don't know. The ones that make me giggle, but those happen so frequently. Since my surgery, I haven't been as active on my other groups, like the sewing group and the buy-sell trade and cramps and alternative link. I haven't been on my other groups as much. I've only been keeping up with our Facebook group that's with the channel, just because I feel obligated to do that, and I enjoy being over there and talking to all of those ladies. So these ladies that are asking me these questions. But I don't remember a specific one recently. I've been very scatterbrained lately, so. But the ones that I like, the funny ones, the ones where we all end up giggling. My favorite Rumps meme. You know, I really haven't. I haven't found one that like I saved or reposted, but I'll be on the lookout for one of those. How was my dog on the move? Cadence was really good on the whole move. She was amazing. The first night that we stayed in a hotel, she kind of lost her mind. She was crying a lot at the hotel. But yeah, on the road trip part, the actual days and days of driving and stopping at friends' houses where their pets were, because the cats, our friend in Alabama that we stayed with for a couple of days, on the first leg of the journey, has 3 cats, and they didn't like Cadence, and Cadence didn't understand why the cats didn't love her. But she stayed away from them. She did a good job of not bothering them or trying to go after them. I mean, she kind of tried to follow them around and sniff them, but there was no chasing. There was none of that, so that was brilliant. And then on the road trip itself, we were driving through weather that several times during the trip, the weather got up to like 105, 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And so that was very iffy, how we were going to handle stopping for gasoline stops and going to the restroom and that sort of thing. But we figured out a way that she could be in the vehicle with the air conditioner going and all of that. And she handled it like a champ. She really did. She slept most of the way. She did a great job on the trip. What is my worst period day like? On the worst ones, they're just really heavy with cramps. And I don't get bad cramps, so I always feel guilty about complaining about them. When I do get them, they're not that bad. I can usually kill it with, an aspirin and a couple of ibuprofen. But I don't know. That's really what it is that I'm just uncomfortable and bloated and it's heavy, so I'm feeling damp and tired and fatigued, and then I have cramps on top of it. That's my worst period day, and I don't like those. What are Elizabeth's favorite toppers, topper themes, and links? I don't know. I'll let her answer that one at some point. We can let Lizzie answer those, because I honestly don't know. I know that she likes the Minky, and I know she likes those, but I don't know if that's her favorite. Would I ever consider doing a meet and greet? I don't know. I would have to sit and really think about that. Sure, I would love to do that, but I'm a socially anxious person, and I tend to worry about things. So an entire group of people all at once that I've never met before would be a little bit overwhelming. Plus, because I worry a lot, I would horribilize the scenario, and it would be like, okay, what if one of these people is, going to try to harm my family or follow me home or something like that. So I would, and whereas those are not totally rational fears, it's probably not going to happen, that would make it kind of difficult. But yeah, I would definitely consider it. I've met people that I've talked to only online before, and it's always been a very positive experience. Let's see. Next is, if you could live in any period of history, what would it be? I would live in this one. This is a great time to be on the planet, and in addition to that, I like my air conditioning, I like my smartphone, I like the internet, I like being able to talk to people in other countries every day without having to pay long distance fees. I love the medical advances. I love the level of equality that women have in the developed world that historically we've never even come close to. I like being able to own my own property. I like being able to vote. Cadence is being bad. So I like this period. And I also have a belief that people are here when they're supposed to be here. I think that we're all here when we're supposed to be. However, if I could visit another period of history, I don't know. That's a toss-up, because I would like to visit 18th century America and meet John Adams, who is my personal person. He's my historical hero type person, is John Adams. I'd like to meet him. I'd like to sit down over coffee. But again, then you run into that whole, women, it was different. I don't know if he would be particularly, I don't know. I think he'd probably be polite. He did have some female friends, but men and women weren't on an equal stature in society back then. And I think that would really irritate me if I were to do that. And then I would also like to see, you know, I would like to hang out with the rich people in the late 17th, late 18th, early 19th century, you know, Jane Austen type. Yeah, I'd like to just be a fly on the wall for that. And then, of course, my historical interest, I would really like to be there for some of the German communist radical meetings that they were having right before the beginning of the Civil War. They were integral in the founding of the Republican Party. They were Marxists who came over here after some failed revolutions in the 1840s in Europe, and I would love to meet some of those guys. I would like to listen to them and hear what they actually said, and get a bead on what their real feelings and intentions were. What is the most adventurous thing I've ever done? Have I or would I ever skydive, scuba, etc.? I'm scuba certified. I like scuba diving. I like being in the water. I really enjoy the quiet where the only thing you hear is bubbles. That's really nice. And I did that with Mr. Nix, and that was fantastical. And when we lived in Okinawa, we got to go several times. That was nice, living right there where you could go anytime you wanted. Skydiving, no, I have no interest in that. None. And it's not just the fear issue either. I don't like the feeling of my stomach dropping out from under me. I don't get on roller coasters. I don't do that sort of thing because I don't get nauseated, but I don't enjoy that. I don't like it. So no, I would not do that. I don't know. The most adventurous thing I've ever done is moving to foreign countries where I didn't know the language and just diving right in. That requires some chutzpah, I think. And do Mr. Nix and I want to have more kids? No. I'm over 40. I'm done. And he concurs with me on that. All right, that was all the questions that I got. I hope you liked that. And I'll come back with another channel-related video very soon. We've got so many reviews to get out and so many tutorials I'm trying to finish putting together that are long overdue. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.